Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about another topic that we get frequent phone calls on. Someone gets married, their spouse agrees to sponsor them for a green card, but then they start to have marital problems. And their spouse refuses to go to the interview for the conditional green card. What, if anything, can they do? Are they going to be denied their green card? My name is Raluca. I provide immigration, family law, and estate planning services for my clients. My marketing and office manager, Nina Clear, is here with me. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and comments as they help others to see our videos.
Okay, so first, everyone forgive me because I have a cold and I sound ridiculous, but we do get lots of phone calls about this issue. And what can you do if your spouse is no longer willing to sponsor you for your green card?
That's right. It can be concerning for people. I highly recommend you talk to an attorney immediately when you know there is a problem. If you wait until your interview where your spouse refuses to attend, it may be too late. I also recommend if you're having marital difficulties that you speak to a different immigration attorney than the one who represented you to file your documents. The reasons being that when they file the papers, they were representing both of you, and that means they may have a conflict in representing only one of you.
Okay, so let's jump back a minute because you said if you wait until your interview where your spouse refuses to attend, it may be too late. What does that mean, too late?
Well, if you wait until right before your interview or after because your spouse didn't show up and you're denied, you may be placed in deportation proceedings immediately. This also means you will not be here without a legal status. We've mentioned this in our previous videos, but every day you are in the U.S. without a legal status can impact your future chance to apply for any type of visa that would allow you to be in the U.S. legally, apply for a green card, or become a U.S. citizen.
Is there any way to get an extension on when your interview takes place?
You can.
How would you do that?
They request that you send a letter as soon as you know you cannot attend with a copy of your appointment letter and explain what is preventing you from attending. Not being ready is not an acceptable reason. USCIS also states that when you can cancel if you're sick without penalty, but I would be very leery of using this choice.
And why is that?
Well, I had them schedule 2 appointments at the same time, and when I wrote to them per their instructions and tried to reschedule in advance, they did not do it. So I don't have much faith in USCIS responding positively to you calling the day you are scheduling saying you're sick. Plus, if you aren't truly sick and they find out you lied, that could negatively impact your case.
What about if you don't show up?
Then your case will be closed due to abandonment.
Are you then out of status?
Without knowing the person's individual circumstances, it is hard to say, but more likely, yes. To add to that, if you abandon your case, you cannot appeal the closure of it. So you will be out of the money you spent to file it too.
Will you remind everyone of the presumption that USCIS has regarding their marriage?
Of course, when your spouse is sponsoring you for a green card, the presumption, the idea that the U.S. officer starts with under the law is that you are marrying only for a green card, and it is your burden to prove that it's not true. That is hard to do it if your spouse refuses to cooperate.
Sorry, we're distracted by all the sirens.
By all the sirens.
We don't know what's happening, but there's often a lot of car accidents around us, so hopefully everyone's okay.
Yeah.
So what suggestions do you have for a person whose spouse isn't willing to cooperate?
I have a couple. First, truly explore the possibility of reconciliation. Marriage is hard for everyone, especially if you are from a different culture and background. I recommend if both parties are willing to go to therapy with a licensed professional who can help you work through your problems. It is not weakness, but strength to enlist the help of someone to improve any of your relationships.
And what about if there is abuse?
If you are the victim of abuse, I do not recommend that you stay with your spouse. There is a narrow provision that you may be able to get a green card if you are a victim of domestic violence. Be sure to report any abuse to the police and get a copy of any police reports.
And I know that the government shutdown meant that the Violence Against Women Act expired. Does that impact U visas, which are the visas for the abused women, right?
First, I would want to mention that even the name of the act is called Violence Against Women. It's an act that can apply to both women and men that are victims of domestic violence. And then the question was if that the government shutdown made the act expire and if that does impact your U visas. No, the U visa program has not been ended, even though the act has been discontinued at this time.
What about if you are the abuser?
That should go without saying, but do not commit domestic violence. Remember, to apply for a green card, you must show you have a good moral character. If you're arrested for or convicted of domestic violence, you may not be able to get a green card even if your spouse agrees to sponsor you. If you are unable to control yourself, please seek professional help to learn to do so. Physical, emotional, sexual, and mental abuse are never okay and are not tolerated in the United States.
Okay, and so what is your second suggestion if someone's struggling to get their spouse to go with them to the interview?
You could attend the interview without your spouse and explain the situation.
What do you think? Is that a good idea?
But honestly, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Remember, you must show you have a bona fide, a valid marriage. And even if your marriage is experiencing difficulties, you must be able to show that you are working on it to try to keep your marriage together. If your spouse is not there with you, that may be very difficult for the officer to believe, and they could deny your application. If you're going through marriage counseling together, that may help to explain to the officer.
So what about if you know you and your spouse are just done and you're not willing to work on your marriage?
I recommend talking to an immigration attorney to determine what your options are. If you're not willing or able to keep working on your marriage, it is better to be honest with the hearing officer and let them know so that you aren't considered to be dishonest. If they think you are dishonest, this can not only hurt your current position, but make it so you can never apply for a green card or citizenship in the future.
So what about just stepping forward? You got your conditional green card and then you start having marital problems.
In that situation, there are different waivers you can apply for. It's a little easier to overcome than the initial condition, the conditional green card, the first time when you apply for it. In both situations, I recommend talking to an immigration attorney. One thing to keep in mind, if you're legally separated, which is not an option here in Georgia, unless you can prove that you are working toward reconciliation, your green card will be denied.
Can you be denied getting your being naturalized or becoming a citizen if you divorce?
If you apply for your citizenship within 3 years of getting your green card through marriage, you could be denied naturalization if you are divorced. The reasons for this is others have to live in the United States for 5 years, but a spouse can apply in 3 years only if they are living in a marital union. So if you're not living in marital union, you cannot take advantage of this faster time for filing.
So you could still become a citizen, but just not as quickly.
It would depend on your individual circumstances, and you may need to file a waiver, but yes, you probably could. Thank you for watching and for all your shares, likes, and comments. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. As always, we're here to help. See you tomorrow.